Hi, class. All right. Excuse me. Welcome to week 6. So this week, awesome, fun stuff. We are going to get started with a photo story. You have 2 weeks to complete this assignment, and I expect you to use that time to really figure out a really excellent way in which to accomplish this particular assignment. And so I already gave you your homework assignment, but as you likely noticed, there's very little instruction because you guys aren't watching the videos. So now, in order to do your homework correctly, you're going to have to do your assignments correctly. You're going to have to watch the videos. So welcome. All right. This week we're talking about photo stories because photography is incredibly important to everything that we do in media production, as you can imagine. Video is nothing more than a series of photographs moving incredibly quickly, right? A photo story is in between a photograph and a video. A video is 10,000 or so photographs. One photograph can tell a great story. We call these environmental portraits or different things, all right? Or even photo essays themselves as one single photograph that can be incredibly compelling and amazing. You're not there yet. To be one of those, you need to be a journalist, oftentimes maybe some of you could pull it off, but that's not what we're going to do. Instead, you're going to give me 3 to 6 photographs that are going to go in sequential order that are going to tell a compelling story. Now, this can be anything that you want to tell at all whatsoever. However, there are some restrictions to this, okay? So first thing you have to do is you have to take every single photograph yourself, okay? You do. You have to take the photograph. Second, you need to do some type of correction or messing with it or, play around with it in Photoshop. Now, this, as we've learned to this point, maybe, if you digitally do certain things to a photograph in Adobe Photoshop, it is no longer a photograph. It is now a digital image. That's okay for this particular project. You can do whatever it is that you want, but you must create the photograph yourself. And as part of your assignment, you're going to have to turn into me your original photographs before you altered them. Now, I've given you some examples and I've given you some materials to read over this week and next week to help you to accomplish all of this. And both of them are excellent resources. But also, you can just start Googling and looking at different photo essays. Now, professional photographers who participate in this usually try to get one photograph, one shot to tell a really big story. But that's incredibly difficult, and I don't expect all of you to be there yet for a 2000 level course. So you don't have to do that. Instead, you can use 3 to 6 images, no less than 3, no more than 6. If you have something that you have been working on or something, or if you have questions about that, you can talk to me individually. But 3 to 6 single photographs or digital images that when I put them in order, they tell a very distinct story that I can understand. Now, you can have no words in your photo story. So, or you can add no words, let's put it that way. You can have words, right? If you are, let's say that you took a picture of me sitting here and this was behind me, all right? And let's say it was zoomed in so you could actually read the notes that I have written on this notepad. That's okay, right? Those are words, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. You could even, have your subject standing in front of something that says, delicious food here, right? That's not adding words, all right? That's using the environment, right? And maybe it helps your story. Otherwise, it better help your story if you have, a giant neon sign that says eat food here, right? That's totally fine. What you can't do is go into Photoshop and just type on there and give me clues as to what the story is that you're trying to tell. Your story has to be implied and explicit, which is very difficult, right? Because we're only using visual medium, you need to be able to create what is to me someone who's not from your culture, someone who's older than you, someone who may be of a different gender than you, someone who may have different sexual orientation or cultural experiences, likes different foods, thinks some things are normal and some things are different that you think are normal and you think are different, right? So I'm from a completely different culture than you are. However, for those of you who know me and have, we've hung out together, or for, anybody else that that's American or a Westerner or whatever, we're not that different, right? Overwhelmingly, we're very, very similar people. because we are in fact people. And that is what is so wonderful about these photo essays that journalists and other and professional photographers create, is that every culture in the world can share in them. Everyone understands what's happening. They're often photographs of emotions, of feelings, right? Not necessarily of a process. And so, what that means to you can vary and differ depending upon who you are. What you create for this particular assignment is going to vary and differ based on who you are. So, instead, what I want you to be doing is taking the materials that I've given you, really reading through them and figuring out, and then looking for examples of things yourself. Start to dive in and look at all of, I mean, the internet is filled, and I mean, absolutely filled with photo stories. You see them all of the time. You just probably never knew what they were. You can think of ways, I mean, just think about, excuse me, just think about when, like, let's say that you're trying to get people to wash their hands in public, and not everybody can read, right? So you just have pictures that kind of show you what you're supposed to do in order to wash your hands, right? That's technically a photo story. That's not what I want for this class. Instead, I want you to tell me something interesting. All right, so you can tell me about your life. You can tell me about, anything it is that you want to tell a story about at all. It just has to be interesting, and you have to be able to convey it with pictures only. Do not put this off to the last second, or it will be bad and you will get a bad grade. Okay, you have got to start thinking about this now, and then really use the material that is given you to really start to prep and to ask questions. All right, we'll talk more about this in session tomorrow, but for those of you who don't know anything about photography, we'll do a little bit of a photography lesson tomorrow as well, and kind of get you started. And then next week we can answer some more specific questions during our class session if anybody has specific answers, and I'll go over some additional photography tips as well. All right. So if you have questions, comments, or concerns, reach out. I will be doing the live session tomorrow during class, like I said, going into a little bit more detail. But start thinking about a story that you could tell using only images that every person in the world would be able to understand. What do you know about? What do you like? What really grabs you visually that you think you could tell a story about in 3 to 6 still images? All right? Okay. See everybody tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.